Hello, and welcome to this video clip for the course Sociology in a Global Perspective. Last week we discussed the core objective of this course, developing your sociological imagination. As we discussed, sociology is the science that studies social forces, and it's up to you to see how these remote and impersonal social forces shape your life and the life of others. In this clip, I'll shortly discuss one of the social forces that has a major impact on your life and all of those around you. The culture you were raised in. Now, the sociological meaning of culture could be considered as rather complex and comprehensive. Therefore, I'd like to discuss this concept with a very specific example. Shaking hands. Like in many other countries, in the Netherlands, you shake hands when you introduce yourself or when you want to greet somebody. Now, you might never have entirely thought this through, but greeting by shaking hands comes with a number of important unwritten rules. First rule, if you introduce yourself, you're supposed to present your right hand, not your left one. People would actually be surprised if you reached out your left hand to greet the person you just met. Doesn't matter if you're a lefty or not, the norm prescribes that you introduce yourself shaking your right hand. Secondly, grip. A smooth handshake should not be too firm and certainly not too weak. We all know how strange it feels if someone unknowingly tries to crush your hand or doesn't squeeze even for the tiniest bit. Thirdly, only reaching out with your hand isn't enough. You're actually supposed to shake your hand. Try it. Imagine you're shaking hands with me right now. Chances are you just shook your hands twice. 1, 2. And finally, very important, time. A handshake is limited to a certain amount of time. Again, imagine giving me a handshake right now. How long did that last? I guess a little less than 2 seconds. Imagine how strange it would be if someone would hold your hand for, say, 5 seconds or longer. Now, shaking hands is a perfect example of one of the components that constitute the concept of culture. Norms. Norms are written and unwritten rules or expectations about how we should behave in certain social situations. In a social situation, if you meet someone for the first time, it's appropriate to shake hands. In other social situations, however, shaking hands would be quite awkward. How would your parents or best friends, for example, react if you greet them by only giving a distant handshake? We have developed rules and expectations for almost every social situation. Check for yourself. You know when it's appropriate to greet someone with a handshake, a hug, or a kiss. And you know when it's appropriate to kiss someone on the cheek or on the mouth. In every social situation, certain rules and expectations apply. And often these rules are unwritten. Now, norms differ from culture to culture. Take, for example, the Inuit or Eskimo culture. As you might know, Eskimos don't kiss through their mouth, they use their noses. That may sound very strange to you. You might even laugh when seeing two people kiss by touching their noses. That shows that you've been raised in a certain culture and that you've fully internalized the norms of that specific culture. Please don't forget to use your sociological imagination in these cases by remembering if I were born and raised by Eskimo parents, it would have been me kissing with my nose instead of my mouth. And that brings us to the core of what the concept of culture is about. It's about all the things we have learned. Whereas nature is about the things we are born with, culture is about the things we've learned from others from the moment we are born. Now, to return to the handshake example, it might feel you're born with the idea to shake hands to greet somebody because it feels so natural and normal to do. It, however, feels so natural because you've fully internalized the norm to shake hands. From when you were little, you've seen other people like your parents do it over and over again. And so you were raised with the idea that it's normal to shake hands instead of some other greeting custom. This process in which you learn a culture in the way that it becomes part of you as a person is called socialization. Okay, in this clip I discussed shaking hands as a specific example for the cultural component norms. Please note that next to norms there are other components that together constitute the intriguing sociological concept called culture.